CU students already looking forward to future seasons with Coach Prime. We'll soon have a whole new set of Big 12 opponents to get used to as well.
9 News reporter Cole Sullivan went to the Hill today to ask students what they think of the big CU switcheroo. Cole, what'd they say?
And Alex, I had a great plan. I came up here, we were sure we were going to get some students. We were going to talk to them about whether they're going to miss playing those California schools, whether they were thinking they have a better chance of winning if they're in the Big 12 versus the Pac-12. But we ran into an issue. There was just one problem. Take a look. It's summertime. All the kids are at home. The Hill was nearly empty today. It was practically deserted, way emptier than I've ever seen it before. So quiet. And a lot of those kids home for the summer, of course. And if they're from out of state, they're more likely than not in Pac-12 territory, actually. About 10% of CU students are from California compared to only 3% from Texas, which is number 3, Illinois number 2, and those other states where students are from. Texas, Big 12 territory. But we still found some students and asked them what they thought. Take a listen. Do you think CU has a better chance of winning in the Big 12?
Yes, I think Pac-12 is a lot more competitive than Big 12.
I think it's the right move for the program with Coach Prime here. We're really looking to improve the school athletics as a whole. With teams like UCLA and USC leaving, I think the Pac-12 is going to be a dying conference.
I think the games will be a lot more fun and we'll want to go a lot more than in the past.
We talked to folks who said that they thought that there was going to be a lot more fun. As you heard, they thought the Coach Prime was really going to maybe energize even more than this conference switch. But I had this great idea that didn't really come to fruition. I printed out all these logos of all the Big 12 teams to see if the CU students knew who their opponents were going to be. And Kim and Alex, they did. Almost everybody we talked to could name almost all of these teams. So that kind of game that I was trying to play, that was a dud too. And it's raining. You don't get that when you're playing Pac-12 teams in Southern California. But hey, folks here are pretty confident they're ready for this switch.
Yeah, well, soak in a quiet Hill. Give it about 3 weeks, Cole, and it's going to be hopping more than you want.
And it's going to be madness the way it should be, Kim.
All right, thanks, Cole. We're going to have much more on the Buffs' move to the Big 12 coming up in sports.
In other news, 3 teens accused of killing a young woman in Arvada by throwing a rock at her car are in jail on a $2 million bond. Now an attorney for one of those teens is fighting back, going to a higher court, arguing the bond amount is simply too high. Our criminal law expert says it is possible this appeal could work. Here's 9 News reporter Kelly Rinke.
A young girl in Jefferson County never made it home. Alexa Bartell was killed by a rock thrown through her car window, and after police arrested 3 teens for her death, a judge made it nearly impossible for them to go home.
It seems some of these ultra-high bails may be vulnerable to appellate attack.
9 News legal expert Scott Robinson isn't surprised one of the teens' attorneys filed a petition after a judge set bond at $2 million cash. The attorney is now asking the Colorado Court of Appeals to review that amount, arguing it's too high.
What is being argued on behalf of this 18-year-old is that the court basically assumed guilt as opposed to presuming innocence, that the bond was set almost entirely because of the grievous nature of the offense and the outrage of the community.
Community members told the judge Joseph Koenig didn't deserve bond and should be sitting on death row. But Robinson says those feelings aren't a factor a judge must consider for bond.
But when you're representing a teenage boy with no prior criminal history, it almost doesn't matter how serious the charges are.
A judge does consider a person's risk to the community and risk of running away before trial if they can post bail and get out of jail. Koenig's attorney says the judge rejected an important test on that, which found the teen was low risk.
And the problem with a high bail set almost entirely on the basis of the alleged crime is that it basically ignores the presumption of innocence.
Bonds for murder suspects in Colorado is something new because of a recent decision at the state Supreme Court. Robinson expects with such high bonds, more challenges will be coming.
In light of the Smith case, I think some of these ultra-high bonds may in fact be struck down on appeal.
So what's next? The Colorado Court of Appeals can tell the court in Jefferson County to hold another bond hearing, or the appellate court can just agree with that $2 million bond. Alex, no decision has been made yet on that.
Yeah, and as Scott Robinson said, I mean, $2 million, have we even seen anybody be able to make that yet?
No, and we've seen the range pretty
large. We've even seen it go as high as $100 million cash only. We have not heard of an instance of someone accused of murder actually being able to pay these high amounts.
That makes sense. Okay, Kelly, thank you.
Investigators are searching in Texas and Louisiana tonight to track down 4 children missing for more than a month. Deputies in Arapahoe County say Howard Miles took his 4 children during a court-ordered visit last month and never brought them back. They're worried about the kids because there's a history of abuse and neglect. Last week, investigators arrested the children's mother at a hotel in Houston. She's in jail in Texas accused of violating child custody laws. The Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office believes the kids are still with their father in Houston or Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
A Denver police officer is facing charges for slamming a man to the ground as Nuggets fans celebrated the NBA championship in the streets. Denver's DA is charging Adam Glaspie with second-degree assault. Prosecutors say on the night the Nuggets won, Glaspie was working off duty at a bar in Lodo. A fight broke out amongst a group of young men. Prosecutors say Glaspie pulled Elijah Smith away, slamming him to the ground and knocking him out. Court documents show Smith ended up with a traumatic brain injury and nerve damage. The affidavit also says Glaspie didn't call an ambulance. He waited until the next morning to even report it. Smith told 9 News last month he did throw a punch during the fight, but he says he was stepping away when Glaspie threw him to the ground. Denver police told us Glaspie is now suspended without pay during the criminal case.
A father and son from Highlands Ranch are facing charges tied to the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. We just got a hold of court documents tonight, and they told federal investigators it was part of a father-son trip. Court records show that David Tyner and his son Christian drove from Colorado to Washington, D.C. and went to President Trump's rally on January 6, 2021. David told investigators they went back to their hotel and then they followed a crowd to the Capitol. He claimed he didn't know what was going on. They never went inside. But investigators say they're all over surveillance video from inside the rotunda. Investigators arrested the father and son last month. It's not clear how old Christian is, but apparently it's old enough to face the same charges as his father, including entering a restricted building and disorderly conduct in a Capitol building, not as serious as the charges other Coloradans have faced tied to the attempt to overthrow democracy. It took crews from a half a dozen fire departments to put out a fire on a farm today. This is north of Strasburg, out on the Eastern Plains. Firefighters told us it started in a wheat field during the harvest. A piece of equipment malfunctioned. The fire burned 250 acres before firefighters were able to put it out. Fortunately, no one was hurt.
I'm sure you've thought this. I know I have, and we are right in this, that the mosquitoes are out of control this year. You know, one Colorado county even called what we're dealing with unprecedented.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, and a lot of counties are really worried about how they could deal and lead to West Nile virus cases as well. 9 News reporter Jennifer Meckles is live in City Park tonight, just one of the places where Denver collects samples of these guys.
Yeah, just like smacking them away while I'm standing here, guys. We do not know if the West Nile mosquitoes coming from samples came from City Park, but it is one place that they test throughout Denver. Very common. A lot of cities and counties will do that. But we got an email today from 3 different places across Colorado, Denver included, that they're starting to see West Nile in the mosquito samples, and in some cases even in humans. It is one of those summers, you guys, you're not making it up, where you're just swatting constantly while you're outside. It's not great. We can thank Mother Nature for all her hard work this year. That cool, wet, lush spring.
Mother Nature has provided this ideal circumstance to breed lots of mosquitoes and to especially breed lots of Culex mosquitoes.
Culex, says Dr. Bob Hancock in MSU Denver's biology department, are the mosquitoes most likely to carry West Nile virus. This year's data?
And then we can look at 2023's mosquito numbers, and they are just completely off the charts.
West Nile already detected in various mosquito samples in Weld County, Denver, and Larimer County.
And of course, in Larimer County, we've already got our first human case, which is a month earlier than what we normally see. We see our first case usually in August.
Tom Gonzalez is the Larimer County Public Health Director. He says the season usually lasts until September.
We have a long ways to go. We're still in July. So that's the concerning aspect, that this could just keep amplifying and we could have a really, really terrible August.
Yes, of course, mosquitoes and summer go hand in hand. But when you have the experts, the ones in a high altitude, mostly dry climate, saying this,
we are seeing an unprecedented amount or just pure number of mosquitoes.
Yeah, all of those things. A perfect storm. And, you know, I use the word epic.
We're seeing them in the thousands when we typically don't see that many this time of year.
Maybe listen a little closer. So no matter what we tell you, we know it's summertime. You're going to be outside at night. And you already know some of these little tips, but just let's say them one more time. Wear your DEET repellent, number one. Long sleeve pants if you can, socks if you can, and just be mindful around like little standing water, dirty water in a flower pot or a wheelbarrow, whatever. Just, you guys, like I can tell you this a million times, you know the deal when it comes to mosquitoes. The point of this story is to tell you that they're just out more this year. So you really have to be vigilant. That's the whole point. And if you see symptoms potentially of West Nile, if you've been bitten, it's been a couple of weeks, like headache, fever, body aches, that's when you got to call your doctor. Don't mess around with this stuff.
No, let's take it serious. You've got me itching and just wanting.
I
just
know.
talking
I
about
mosquito
it.
bites while your story was airing.
Me too.
They're just everywhere.
Well, get inside. Thanks, Jenny. Fire departments say bad e-bike batteries are fueling deadly fires, and they are begging the feds to step in.
Well, we're inching our way into the weekend, and hot weather is sticking around, but I do have a cool down in my 7-day forecast. Stay tuned.
And the robots are all over the place. They're coming here, they're coming there.
A retirement community's newest helpers are robots who sing, and the residents are huge fans.